Making sure it's good to go. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did to get out of debt so I can put more energy and more funds into my business, okay? It was pretty simple. I had a major event happen in my life, and that major event caused me to think about things differently. I ended up losing my father about a year ago, and after losing him, I really started to look at life different, and I wanted something different for my life. And so I made a decision that things will have to be different. That was my biggest motivator. So you have to be intentional, and you have to really understand your why. And I know you probably heard it sounds cliche, but it's really real. After that event, an onset of different events happened, and I was like, yeah, I want more free time to spend with my family, my one parent now that's left, as a only child. So I was like, I got to do things differently. So the opportunity came up as I got picked up for a mission. So for me, my 9 to 5 was active duty with the military. I was working as a civilian in the hospital sector, and I got called in for a mission. At first, I was a little bit concerned about it. I was like, man, I'm just trying to get my foot in here, work my way up the ladder here. But I looked at everything I was doing, and it made the most sense, especially because I've been in the military so long. The money just could not compare, okay? Especially because of my current rank. I'm considered mid-level, I would say mid-level in terms of management, and then the areas I was in. So with the military, and I'll get into that on another video, we get paid 3 ways. It's your base pay, your housing pay, and a substance pay. And if the cost of living in your area is high, then they're going to pay you a higher rate. So when I did the math, it just made sense. And on top of that, I didn't have to leave where I was living. The mission happened to be right where I was living, so that was great. So I made a decision to go ahead and take this mission. I'm kind of voluntold, but I took the mission, and it was good. It was a little bit challenging at times for the work we were doing. I'm not going to get into everything we were doing on this video, but it allowed me to get to my goals to paying off debt and allowed me to do it faster, okay? So the number one thing is, for me, was I had to make more money. And because now I made more money, I was able to put more money away towards debt. And a lot of times, sometimes when we make more money, lifestyle creep comes up. We start going out more, different things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're being intentional and you want to get out of debt with the prime focus for you to change your job, where maybe you don't have to work 40 hours, or you can work part-time, or travel more, or pursue more of your business, spend time with your family, whatever it is, you got to be intentional. And that's exactly what it was. I had a major event in my life that happened to me that made me think about life differently. And I was like, okay, in order for me to spend more time with my family and be more available, I have to get out of debt. And that's what I did. So number one thing is you're going to have to gain more income most of the time for most people. Because most people, if you're already making a decent amount of money, second thing is you got to look at your expenses. I use the Dave Ramsey plan. When I say I used it, I mean loosely, because I pretty much, baby step number 1 was pretty good. Save $1,000. Baby step number 2, attacking debt. The hardest part to me was the credit cards, and I still struggle with that at times. I ain't gonna lie to you. Them points for them flyer miles definitely are hard, because I am somebody who flies a lot. So they actually come in handy. So that's still one that I'm still working on. But it worked for me, getting out of debt. I saved up $1,000. And now I have more. I'm burning my emergency fund. And everything else, I threw it towards debt. And when I did my budget, I looked at my budget and I realized I had about $1,800 to about $2,200 of money per month that I could use towards debt. No matter what your budget is, look at it and see what you're spending it on, and look to see where you have extra money. Is it extra 100, 250 bucks, whatever it is. And if you don't have any additional money, you're already tight with everything else, that's when you can look into getting some side work. What else can you do to bring in money? Because the goal is to pay off debt. Even if you have to go do delivery pieces, whatever you could do, and it's only temporary for you to do that. You don't have to do that your whole life. It might be 6 months, a year, maybe even 2 years. Whatever it is, you got to sit down and really look at it and set a goal for yourself. And that's exactly what I did. I looked at my biggest debt, which was student loans and credit cards. And all the additional money I had coming in, I put it towards my student loans and I put it towards my credit cards. And by doing so, I was able to Who is this texting me in the middle of the video? Sleep. Okay. After doing that, I was able to look at my finances differently, knowing that I had extra money coming in. That made a big deal because I didn't really realize. I said, I didn't even realize I had this much money coming in that I could spend on my debt. Once I looked at my budget, not saying you got to stick to a budget every time because different things will come up. You may want to go to a happy hour, somebody's birthday. Make it work for you. I wanted to get out of debt so I can not have to work 40 hours a week. Have to. That's what I wanted to do. Not saying I'm not going to work. I didn't want to have to. Okay, so that was a key thing I did to get out of debt. I made more income, number one. And number two, I looked at my expenses and looked at where I was spending money. And I decided to pull back. For me, it was Uber Eats and sneakers. I love sneakers. I'm here for it, okay? I was like, okay, cool. We're not buying sneakers for a while. But the Uber Eats and eating out, that was the hardest part here. And even now, that's one thing I'm still working on. But I did cut back during that time of spending money on eating out. Or I put it into my line item. Like, okay, cool. I know I'm not going to spend more than this much for eating out for the month. And now I can afford to do so. So you got to look at the budget and see what works for you. Look at your spending plan and see what works for you. Because some people think budget is a cuss word. You look at your money and be like, okay, I can make this work, or this is not working. What can I do to get more of it so that way I could put it towards my debt? And that's it. You be intentional about it. Okay, this is especially for those who are wanting to put more money towards their business and really focus on it. You got to make sure that the essentials are covered. Okay, your 4 walls. Food, gas, your car, like those things got to get paid, okay, than everything else. And once you are intentional about doing so, you will be surprised how fast you can get out of debt, whether it takes 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever, with the exception of a mortgage. If you have a mortgage, that's going to take a while, okay? And if you have over 6 figures in debt, y'all better look into some of this public service forgiveness, what is it called? Child, I even received it. I can't even remember what it's called. Anyways, look to see if some of your stuff may be forgiven, okay? By the time I got to it, I had about $50K that qualified for forgiveness. Now, I took out double that, them people said, but I was able to get some of that to help cover my federal. And then my private, I had to pay out of pocket, child. You had to pay Sallie Mae or Navient. So that was a big one, but I ended up paying them off, okay? So look to see what you could do. Really do your research and see what can work for you. And it may take some time, and each day, each week, each month may look different, and that's okay. But be intentional and start today. Like, start now. Start as soon as possible. Make up your mind. Make a plan for yourself, and it may change, and keep going. And I really want to encourage people who are wanting to get out of debt, so that way, if they want to spend their time with their family or doing whatever it is, to really be intentional. I keep saying that because let it sit in your spirit. It needs to really hit you with that. Like I said, for me, I had a life-changing event, and that changed my life. And so for you, it could be something more simple. Just start. See y'all later.